So welcome to Module 4 of using the Bootstrap framework for web application user interfaces. This module is going to be working with text in the Bootstrap framework. So this module will cover the basics of text. We'll do a demonstration of that sort of thing because it's easier to learn via seeing in this when dealing with text. And then we'll cover some variations on text. And again, we'll do another demonstration because all those variations really only show up in a demo. And then we'll, of course, have a quiz at the end. So the session goal. So really, you should learn, what you should learn at the end of this session is just the basics of using text within Bootstrap. Text is a foundational component of any user interface, especially any HTML user interface. HTML actually started out as text only before introducing graphics and lots of other things. But so in an effort to simplify the almost unlimited options for text provided by HTML5, I mean literally, HTML5's CSS framework or CSS language, you can literally unlimited combinations. And so, you know, while that's good from a flexibility standpoint, having to learn and use and remember those across all of your application and creating your own classes for all those things, it can be quite daunting and quite time consuming. So Bootstrap makes it a little easier. So by default, font size is 14 pixels for any text in the body or paragraph in the HTML page. And then paragraphs are automatically given a white space margin of 10 pixels after the last line of the paragraph. The heading tags, so H1 through H6, are also predefined, as you can see here. So heading 1 starts out at 36 pixels, goes all the way down to heading 6, which is 12 pixels. And then if you want a slightly a smaller, lighter version of one of those headers, so like let's say you wanted your text to be H1 and then you wanted sort of a sub heading under that, or you're using H1 for your title and you wanted a subtitle, you can add this small tag or the small class to the header tag, and it'll make it just a little smaller and a little lighter to help out with that. So as I mentioned, it's much easier to see all this stuff in a demo. So we're going to go demo some of the basics real quick. So I'm going to pull up Visual Studio. Here it is. We will remember from our previous session, we've got, you know, the basic HTML page. We've Bootstrap enabled it with a set of linking meta tags and linking in some style sheets and JavaScript libraries and such. We've set our title to Hello World. We've got our container that's got everything in it. I'm going to get rid of this particular row because I don't need all those columns. We'll keep this one in here, right? So this is going to be my menu. Actually, you know what? We're going to get, this is going to be my page header. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and put an H1 tag in here. And in that H1 tag, I'm going to put this is my page header. Or just, actually, you know what, we'll just put it like this, page header. And then if you'll remember, this was sort of supposed to set up kind of a menu on the left menu and then write content. So we'll go with that theme here. So this is my second row, and it's taking up, it's a column that's taking up 2 of the Bootstrap grid columns. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to use a series of, let's call them H5 tags, set up the menu, right? So menu item 1, and then we'll just, to make it faster, we'll paste, and this will be menu item 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so over here is you know, my content. So over in the content, what I'll do is I'll just put a header 2 and put, you know, welcome to the Hello World app. And you know what? I put on a page here. Since this is hello world, we'll just put hello world. And then because I want to do a couple of other things, then we'll do h2 class equals. Remember, I said that if you wanted to go a bit lighter, that's easy to do, and sort of have a subtitle is how I used it before. It's really easy to do with a HTML small element, right? So inside of the H2, in this case, I will put small here, and then I'll put this. Great. And then I'll hit save and we'll show it. And there you go, right? So here's my title. And then here's my menu over on the left. And then here's my header 2 right here. And then here's my header 2 with smaller, a little smaller, a little lighter, right? So sort of my subheader or subtitle, however you like to think about that. So that's, basic typography in Bootstrap. And remember, because Bootstrap is responsive, and because I'm using, the Bootstrap framework to do this, as my screen gets smaller or bigger, it adjusts on the fly, right? So pretty cool. So I'm going to stop that and then go back to our PowerPoint, and then come on, PowerPoint. So here's some variations on there we go. Some variations on text provided by Bootstrap. There's a lot more than these, not the unlimited that there are in HTML5, but there's probably 30 or 40 different variations on text that you can just use right out of the box with Bootstrap. Of course, you can always, create some additional or change or whatever, but Bootstrap includes, like I said, 30, 40, 50, something like that will cover probably 99% of what you need. So just a few of those. So the mark tag has been automatically classed in Bootstrap to sort of highlight text in light yellow, similar to if you were using a highlighter on a piece of paper. The code tag has been set up to automatically highlight the text with a gray background and turn the font color red. And it's designed to show, if you're creating a web page that talks about coding or talks about, what text to enter or something like that, so you can use that. Bootstrap has some standard contexts across almost, everything where it makes sense. And the context is a way to provide meaningful information to the user in a standardized way. And so for text, that context is included as well. It's included in two ways. One, via the text color, and two, via the background color. And so the contexts in Bootstrap are primary, success, info, warning, and danger. So you can imagine what the colors of those are, right? So text primary is just the primary font color, which in this case is in normal Bootstrap, unless you change it, is black. Text success changes it to green, info to blue, warning to yellowish orange, and then red, danger to red. And the same goes with the background, right? So if you want the text background to be, the primary color, you use BG primary as a class, and so on and so forth. And again, you'll see as we do some other lessons in the future, like panels and tables and things like that, these same contexts come into play. And that's an example of, where the framework is helping you out. You don't have to go define your own sort of context. And this context sort of marries to what you would see, on a factory or on a screen or, colors on a road sign or whatever. So it just sort of, again, provides context without you actually having to do anything. And then finally, and you saw me do this earlier, one of my examples, justification. So Bootstrap includes classes to sort of help justify the text the way you want it to center, left, right, and justify, which is sort of trying to get it as well as possible across the entire page. To justify, you have to be careful with. I've seen some browsers actually take that to the extreme, and actually, if your paragraph has 2 words in it with 6 total letters, it puts a ton of space between those letters to try to stretch it all the way across and justify it on that line. So be careful with the justify. So let's go do, again, another demo here. So you'll recall my little simple web page we're building here, and here's what it looks like. So the first thing I want to do then is let's go mark up some of this text, right? So let's go in and put here, let's just get a paragraph first. Paragraph. This is information about the application. Please read before using. So I'll save that. We'll restart it so I can get my browser back up. And there you go, right? So there's the paragraph I had. So the first thing I want to do is instead of the paragraph, I want to use the mark tag. Remember, this is supposed to highlight some text, right? So mark and mark there. So what I want to do is let's mark the word application rather than just doing this again. So mark, put the closing tag of mark after. We'll get rid of this one. We'll hit save. We'll go back to our browser. I'll hit refresh, and you can see that the word application is highlighted right where I marked it. So then let's, you know what, let's center our page heading up here. So we're going to go in and add the class equals text dash. We'll save that. See what that did. There's our hello world centered. You know what, the other thing I want to do is in between my heading and my application, maybe I want a little more space there, right? So I'll show you how to do that real quick. So let's take, you know, another row here. Something. What did I do? Oh, I grabbed the starting tag of the second row. Didn't mean to do that. There we go. Let me move this guy back over. There we go. So what I want to do here is for this one, I just want some more space. So the space ESP semicolon is the key, is the code for just putting a blank space in an HTML tag. So we'll save that. We'll go refresh. Actually did paste it, didn't I? All right. It is a demo, so the demo guides are not with me here. There we go. So that's what I want. So on my page title, I got some white space, got my menu, and I got, you know, my app here. Excuse me. So the next thing I wanted to show was, so we did a center. So the next thing I wanted to show was do some context, right? So let's say that here in the please read before using, right? So what I want to do is make that a separate paragraph. So let's close off this paragraph and let's create another paragraph. And then for this paragraph, I want to, you know, I want the user to be able to see this thing. Right? Please read before using. That sounds like something we want the user to pay attention to. So what we'll do is we'll add a context class here. And we'll add context text dash warning. And then we'll hit save. And we'll go back and look at our app. And you can see that it put it in this kind of yellowish orange color here, right? If I just wanted that to be info instead, so Save, refresh. You can see it put it in blue. So that's the contextual thing. So let's say on the menu items over here, I wanted to make them green in color, right? So or let's say that I wanted I was going to write some code behind this thing where whichever menu the user clicked on, that one turned green. So the way I would do that is in code, which we won't do. That's a little beyond the scope of this thing. But what I could do is in code, I could just set the class in real time. So when the user clicked the button, I could set the class to bg-success. Hit save, refresh, and you can see that once the user clicked on that menu item, I can basically turn the background of that menu item green there. And you notice that it did it for the entire part of the grid, right? So essentially what it's doing is it's setting the background of that grid where this content is to green. So in other words, it's doing the entire width of the grid is really what I should say there. So that's that. One other one I will just show just to see what it looks like. We'll turn this one into class equals code. I'm sorry, not class equals code. It's the tag code. Change the p tag to the code tag. Visual Studio is automatically changing the other end of my tag for me, so that's kind of cool there. Take out the mark one because that's going to look odd to be both code and highlighted, although it would probably work. Not make it work. And there you go. There's what code looks like. This is information about the application. So there you go. Those are text variations in Visual and Bootstrap. Get rid of this, stop Visual Studio, go back to our PowerPoint. Oops. We did our demo. So the quiz, what's the default text size in Bootstrap? Of course, it's 14 pixels. Which class sets the context of text in the Bootstrap? So you would basically, to a paragraph tag or to a header tag or really any text tag, you could add class equals text dash and then one of the context words, so like success or info or primary or one of those kinds of things. And that would set the context of the text. And then how would you show highlighted text? So that you would just basically put the mark tag around it, M-A-R-K tag around it, and it'll highlight it in yellow as you saw in the demo. So there's the answers to the questions there. So text dash context, HTML tag mark, and then of course the default size is 16 pixels. So that is that's it. Module 5 is next.